I wanted to ask, and anybody on the panel, maybe Prabir or Jaideep or anybody can actually answer this. What is the reason this year for this particular placement crisis? What is changed? If so much is happening, if B schools are still very sought after, if MBAs are still sought after, why have placements become an issue at B schools? Would Prabir like to start off?
Prabir, you could start off and then the others could come in on that. Prabir.
So I'll give you a perspective, though, the last 5 years, I've not been on the CHRO track of hiring, etc., etc. But I see it from the ring side. And one is very situational. With the general specter of recession in the Western markets, and therefore a lot of the heavy guzzling tech companies, they're hiring. Some of the consulting firms, they're hiring, that has slowed down. So it's a very situational response. So that's the one part. I personally, however, have a slightly different take. See, the challenge is we've also created mega stars of certain corporations. Only those are the companies that we want to go to. I think that's a very artificial and possibly at some level a very arrogantly misplaced assumption. See, today there are many interesting opportunities for passing out batches. If they were only to kind of be a little more open about the kind of companies, the kind of possible starts, and possibly the compensation range. One of the things which has always been current right through, for many, many years is invariably it is the compensation and the historical brand reputation that has largely, influenced choice of companies and therefore acceptance of companies on campus. This needs to change.
Jaideep, come in on that.
Sure. So there are macro factors and some softness in the investment cycle, and Prabir touched upon that. I mean, that's causing a little bit of slack in the uptake. But one must also look at that, is this a passing shower or is this a climate change? I think most businesses are talking about the fact that we need talent that is employable on day one, and employability remains a key question. Whether it's a regular university or a premium institution like an IIT, IIM, I mean, that question mark still remains everywhere. The cost of talent is not going down. I mean, in certain sectors, there has been debate about the cost of talent, fresher talent being stagnant. But by and large, we are seeing an increase. The other aspect that we must look at is that how does the compensation stack up? It need not just be the fixed salary. There are plenty of opportunities available where you could look at the fixed CTC, the variable payouts, ESOP components, and there is so much more to do. Entrepreneurship is something that is never counted as a placement. I mean, that too should, in fact, more than a placement, it's a job creator opportunity. And organizations, in fact, the metric taker should consider if an IIM grad or IIT grad starts their own business, they are becoming a net employer rather than a job seeker. I think if you put all of these elements together, including the macro factors and what the industry is demanding, then we are seeing a fundamental shift happen in the way the uptake of this fresh talent is going to happen in the industry.
Okay. Aviral, Bhavishya, you want to come in? And my colleague Anand also wants to come in, but quick comments on this question that Saurav had posed. Aviral and then Bhavishya.
Yeah, I think that a few things are happening. So first, like Prabir mentioned, there is a macro change. Companies overhired and now they are just not hiring. I think fundamentally there's going to be a shift in the ways organizations are going to be in the future. One of the things that at least I'm seeing with AI is 10-member companies, 20-member companies, billion-dollar companies that are with very small teams. I call this the unbundling of the organization. And I think what tech did was, a company like WhatsApp, which was worth $17 billion, was just 15 people. I think the concept of an organization is
or
going to
Telegram change. For that matter, Aviral, just to interrupt
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely. So I think the size of organizations is going to reduce. There are going to be a lot more. The way jobs look today is going to be very, in the future is going to be very different. So I think the concept of getting hired by big firms, which are not that attractive anymore, people want to work at small firms. They probably want to build things themselves. Like was mentioned, entrepreneurship is becoming an area of interest. Although when I look at startup data and founders coming out of colleges, it's a very minuscule number. But I think that is going to change as well. Placements, how they are today, going to the McKinseys, Bain, BCGs of the world, which was what our aspirations were, are probably not going to be the same in the future. At least I'm seeing that kind of shift happening.
Bhavishya, come in on that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, to be very honest, I feel this is a risk profile that the campuses had built for themselves. If you look at the data for the last few years, and if you take away tech, consulting, fintech organizations, just see what is the kind of spread that we had for companies coming into campuses. We had built ourselves up to that level because we were chasing certain brands, certain packages. That the exposure was very heavily towards a few industries, and those industries have taken a hit, not just in India, globally. So the campuses are soft because the large recruiters are not coming in anymore. But again, I feel this could have been probably anticipated a bit because we've all been following the industry trends, and campuses could have acted a little bit more ahead of time, understanding and diversifying the kind of recruiters they want to bring to the campus. Probably could have been a little more proactive job. We could have been in a better situation in India for sure.